was 35 years ago this month that Hollywood lost a legend who brought his unique brand of martial arts and realism to moviegoers everywhere. Bruce Lee died tragically after becoming an international superstar. And our Tim Astilos returns to show us why he will forever remain the king of Kung Fu.
He was the first and without question the best martial arts superstar to ever grace the silver screen. Bruce Lee became a Hollywood legend with his unique combination of on-screen charisma, intensity, and authentic Kung Fu style.
I've been a film critic on and off for 20 years or more. I've seen hundreds, thousands of movies. But what set the Bruce Lee movies apart clearly was Bruce Lee. He jumped off the screen at you. When you sat in that theater, he was right there in your face. And there are very few actors who are able to achieve that.
Unlike Jet Li and Jackie Chan, whose films focus more on theatrical stunts and comedy,
Lee! Where you been, Lee? I've been on the road, man.
Bruce Lee's films were pure action based on bone-crushing realism and his own amazing skill. Lee began his acting career in his native Hong Kong as a child actor, performing in films that foreshadowed his adult career. Bruce learned the martial arts growing up as a way to protect himself on the streets. Later, in the 1960s, he moved to L.A. teaching Kung Fu to Hollywood celebrities with an eye on acting.
Bruce, at that point in his life, had decided that he was going to make the film business his career rather than teaching martial arts on a mass basis. And so he tried to pursue the idea of getting roles in film and TV.
This is no coincidence, Kato. That's what I was thinking. Now what? Shake down the room. Look for a lead. Any kind of lead.
Lee's first big break was playing the role of Kato in the popular 60s TV show, The Green Hornet. Lee's passion and intensity not only came through in his fighting skills on film, but also in his developing acting ability as well.
Like everyone else, you want to learn the way to win, but never to accept the way to lose. To accept defeat, to learn to die is to be liberated from it. So when tomorrow comes, you must free your ambitious mind and learn the art of dying.
Bruce Lee's next career move should have been one of his biggest triumphs. He presented studios with a novel idea for a TV show about a peaceful Chinese monk skilled in the martial arts roaming the Old West.
Even when he conceived the idea of the Kung Fu series, had many planning discussions with the eventual producers of the Kung Fu series. When it got right down to it, they did not hire Bruce to play the part of the leading part in Kung Fu, instead going for a Caucasian man.
In the United States, I think something about the Oriental, the true Oriental should be shown.
Hollywood sure as heck hasn't.
You better believe it, man. I mean, it's always that pigtail and bouncing around, chop, you know, with the eyes slant and all that.
He had a number of roles in small pictures, but as far as really promoting his career as a leading man, had a lot of difficulty in America at that time. With that rejection in mind, I guess you could say that was an overt expression of racism in the film industry in the early 70s. And at that time, we went to Hong Kong, Bruce having decided that if he couldn't make it in the American film industry through the front door, he would go to Hong Kong and come back in through the side door.
It was in Hong Kong where Lee made a series of low-budget but highly successful Kung Fu films, usually centering on a sullen hero fighting to protect the oppressed.
Now hear this. I shall accept punishment for the lives that I took. You just leave the school alone. Yeah, sure.
But despite comical English dubbing, it was Lee's amazing kung fu skill that always stood out. Lee's movies made him a superstar in Asia, and the ability to have total control over his films, including work with his former student, Chuck Norris. And he began work on another film co-starring another famous student, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Lee's success overseas led Warner Brothers Studio in Hollywood to produce the film that would make Lee an international superstar. Tragically, Lee would never see his success in the U.S. In 1973, he died in his sleep from an allergic reaction to a pain medication, just 2 weeks before the U.S. premiere of Enter the Dragon. But all these years later, the Dragon's legacy lives on.
People are still interested in Bruce Lee, and that's very unique. There's not many individuals that are able to be remembered years and years after they pass away.
There were some lines that expressed your philosophy. I don't know if you remember them or not.
Oh, I remember that. I said, this is what it is, okay? I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now, you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow, or it can crash. Be water, my friend.